You flip a switch and a room fills with light before your hand leaves the wall. No moving parts you can see, no sound, no delay. It feels like magic. It isn't. Every piece of it can be built from one simple fact about matter, and once you see that fact, every wire in your house reads the same way. Everything is made of atoms, and every atom has two kinds of stuff inside a heavy center that carries positive charge, and a cloud of tiny, light electrons that carry negative charge. There's exactly one rule. Same charges push apart. Opposite charges pull together. That push and pull is the entire story. Everything else is just this arranged. In most materials, the electrons are locked tightly to their atoms. But in a metal, like the copper in a wire, the outermost electrons are barely held at all. They drift from atom to atom, wandering freely through the whole piece of metal. A copper wire is not empty waiting to be filled. It is already packed, end to end, with electrons that can move. So, current is not something you pour into a wire. The electrons are already there. Current is just those loose electrons all drifting the same way at once. Picture a pipe already full of marbles. Push one marble in at this end, and a marble instantly pops out the far end. You didn't send that one across. You nudged the whole line. That is why the light comes on the instant you flip the switch, even though each electron barely crawls. But electrons don't drift for no reason. Crowd electrons together at one spot and they shove each other apart looking for somewhere emptier to go. That imbalance, crowded here, starved there, is a kind of pressure. That pressure is voltage. Voltage is not a thing that flows. It is the push. It is the height of the hill that makes charge want to roll. More voltage, steeper hill, harder shove. Left alone, the crowd spreads out and the pressure dies in an instant. To keep a push going, you need something that keeps one side crowded and the other side starved on purpose. That is all a battery is, a small chemical pump. Its reactions pile electrons up at one terminal and pull them away from the other, holding a steady pressure across it, ready. Here is the part that feels like ignition. The pump's pressure does nothing until the electrons have a complete path to travel and return. Connect one unbroken loop from the crowded end through your wire and your bulb back to the starved end, and the whole loop begins to drift at once. That closed path is why we call it a circuit. A switch is just a drawbridge in the loop. Open it, the road is cut, everything stops. Close it, and flow begins everywhere in the same instant. As the electrons drift, they don't glide freely. They knock into the atoms of the wire, over and over, and every collision robs a little of their energy and leaves it behind as heat. Some materials barely get in the way, like copper. Others fight the drift hard, like the thin tungsten in a bulb. That friction, how much a material fights the flow, is resistance. It was never a rule. It's just bumping. In the 1820s, a German teacher named Georg Ohm measured this carefully. He found that for a given piece of wire, the push and the flow rise and fall together in lockstep, double the pressure, double the drift. The steady ratio between them, how much push it takes to get a given flow, is exactly that material's resistance. Voltage equals current times resistance is not a law handed down from nowhere. It is the short way of writing what Ohm saw on his bench. Now the payoff of resistance. Run enough drift through a material that fights it hard, and all that bumping dumps so much heat into it that it glows white hot. That is a light bulb, a thread chosen precisely because it resists, so the flow you force through it turns into light. The thing that seems like a flaw, friction, is the whole point. In 1820, Hans Christian Ørsted noticed something no formula predicted. Whenever current ran through a wire, a nearby compass needle swung. Moving charge makes a magnetic field, always wrapped around the wire. Electricity and magnetism are not two subjects. They are two faces of one thing. And that single discovery is where the modern world turns on. Because if current makes magnetism, you can use it to push, send flow through coils near a magnet, and the coils shove and spin. That is an electric motor, current turned into motion, and it runs backwards. Move a magnet past a coil, and you force the electrons to drift, making current from motion. That is a generator. Faraday found it in 1831, and almost all the electricity you have ever used was made by spinning a magnet past a coil. Now, arranging the loop. Put your devices in a single line, one after another, and every electron must pass through every one of them. The same flow goes through all. But the hill gets shared out, Each device takes a slice of the pressure. Add more, and each gets a weaker slice. And because it's one road, break it anywhere and everything goes dark. That is series. The old strings of lights where one dead bulb killed them all. Or give each device its own branch off the same 2 pressure points. Now every branch feels the full push, and their flows add together into the wire feeding them. Break one branch, and the others never notice. This is how your house is wired. It's why one lamp switched off leaves every other light burning. Series or parallel isn't sorcery. It's only whether the path is a single line or many branches off the same hill. None of this arrived at once. The Greeks rubbed amber and drew sparks and understood nothing. In 1800, Volta stacked metals and made the first steady push, the battery. Oersted and Ampere tied current to magnetism. Ohm pinned down resistance. Faraday turned motion into current, and Maxwell showed it was all one thing that could even ride through empty space. Each step was a real finding by a real person, not a formula waiting in a textbook. Now look around. The power grid is one enormous pump, distant generators, giant magnets spun by steam, water, or wind, holding a pressure across wires that reach your wall. Behind the plaster it fans out in parallel, a fresh branch to every outlet, so each one offers the full push, on demand all day. The same loop runs everything, only the pump changes. A solar panel skips the moving parts entirely. Light itself knocks electrons loose in silicon and creates the push directly. An electric car or a train is a battery's pressure driving motors, current into motion, and when it breaks it runs the motor backwards, motion back into current, refilling the battery. Even planes lean more on these loops every year, and you don't always need a wire. Wiggle a current back and forth fast enough, and it flings electric and magnetic waves off into open space. No path required. That is radio, that is Wi-Fi, and light itself is the same waves. The loop can reach across a room or across the galaxy. So here is the whole machine. Charge that was always sitting in the metal. A pump that crowds it to one side to make a push. A closed loop that finally gives it somewhere to go. And a material that turns the drift into heat, light, magnetism, or motion. That's it. Flip the switch now, and you're not watching magic. You're closing a loop and letting a pressure that was waiting the whole time finally roll downhill.